Hello, welcome to the Indie Corner. We're talking about all things independent comics. I'm Mikey.
I'm Rebecca.
I'm Demoan.
And welcome people to our new series where we're going to be talking about the deadliest comic book ever, which is the book Deadly Class, written by Rick Remender with art by Wes Craig from Image Comics. And today we're going to be covering the first volume titled Reagan Youth, which will cover issues number 1 through 6. So I'm very excited. Hopefully y'all are very excited. Rebecca, Demoan, thank you for joining me because y'all know that this is like my second favorite comic book ever after Invincible. So I'm excited.
Yeah, this was my first time reading it, so I was excited to get into it.
Yeah. Also, Demoan, welcome back because you haven't been on a podcast in a minute, and we've actually been talking about doing this for a while.
I've read it before, and I was excited for it.
Yeah, no, we've actually wanted to do this. Me and Demoan, we talked about doing this podcast ever since Students of Shield, so I wasn't gonna do it without you. So it had to be done. All right. So without further ado, people, we're just gonna get right into it. So we're gonna be talking about the first issue of Deadly Class, and I will be taking the lead on this. So we'll just get right into it. So for starters, so issue number 1. Focusing on the character of Marcus Aguelo Lopez, and it takes place in San Francisco in 1987. And we get introduced to Marcus Aguelo Lopez walking the streets as a homeless youth, talking about how being homeless sucks, but it's better than being at his former boys' home. But it's better at being in his former boys' home, and most importantly, how he feels like he's always being watched, even though no one really sees him. And then following that, let me just reduce the volume a little bit. And following that, it cuts to February 16th, where it's Marcus's birthday, and he acknowledges that he shares it with President Ronald Reagan, and also he notices that he's like actually being watched. It's not his paranoia just getting the best of him. All right, cuts to March 13th, where we see him talk about how he like struggling to sleep during the winter because obviously being homeless and snow and the cold doesn't really work together. And yeah, so while he's like trying to like sleep on like the cold pavement, he gets nightmares. He gets a following nightmare about his parents, and it's revealed that like we go through his backstory, and his father and mother were Nicaraguan refugees, and they fled Nicaragua due to his father being tricked into smuggling drugs by smuggling drugs for the Contras for the CIA during his time as a police officer, causing the Contras to burn down their house. And when Marcus was 5, walking underneath the Golden Gate Bridge together with his family, a schizophrenic homeless lady jumps off the Golden Gate Bridge and lands on top of Marcus's parents, killing them right in front of him. And he believes it was caused by mental institutions being cut by Reagan's administration. So yeah, I think that's kind of wild, and I love the art.
I mean, technically, you can trace a lot of evils back to Reagan, so I can't blame him.
That's
true.
You could even trace, even just for Marcus, you could trace the drug smuggling thing, right? Reagan CIA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The moral of the story is a lot of bullshit happened during the Reagan administration.
Yeah, he fucked up a lot of shit.
Is fuck Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, that woman hit 2 people when she hit the ground.
That's the thing. Like,
the odds are so
honestly like it's gruesome, but you gotta admit that like she has incredible aim. Like I don't
I like to think she wasn't aiming. I like to think she just jumped.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's pretty gruesome, and I love how Craig is really good at showcasing the horror of what happened, like with the artwork as well as Lee Luridge on the colors. I think it does a pretty good job. All right, so after that, it transitions to April 22nd, where a homeless man attempts to steal Marcus's stuff, leading Marcus to almost beat the man to death until he shows mercy and has him keep his shoes, but the deal was to have him keep the bag though. Have Marcus have the bag to himself because there's precious stuff in there. And also want to make a note that like Marcus is kind of like journaling all of this, like when he narrates in the story. So that's just something I want to add on to it.
Yeah, I think his journal was in his bag, which was one of the reasons he wanted it so bad, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think the journal and also like the photo. I think some memorabilia of like his parents and stuff.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So yeah, there's that. All right, so it transitions to August 22nd, while he's on the Golden Gate Bridge, and he talks about how he prays for help, even though he's not really that religious. And while he's about to jump off, a mysterious figure whispers, "Don't," like behind him, and then like while as he's like about to jump, he remembers some like remarks from his father, which gives him the motivation to keep fighting, and therefore he stops himself from leaping off and inevitably stopping himself from ending his life. So that's like an interesting take on that. Transitions to November 1st, on which is Dios de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead. Marcus is walking through the streets where he notices the figure that's been following him, but is interrupted by a kid with dreads who warns him that cops are planning to ambush him for mysterious reasons, which therefore he quickly makes a run for it while mysterious kids show up to slow the cops down. And I love the fact that it showcases like these kids are kind of like blending into the environment. So like we see the mysterious lady in like Dios de los Muertos makeup and garb, like attire, like blow some stuff into some cops' faces. You see a kid who's playing an arcade game get frustrated and leave, and while he opens the door, it smashes the cops' heads in. And I think it's really cool. Like shows these mysterious kids actually like aiding Marcus. I think it's some good stuff. The transitions to so while he's headed down an alley, a girl with a motorcycle comes to his rescue, which leads to a very high-speed chase. And I love the way like Craig does the panel work here, actually showcasing like the intensity of this chase. I think it's really awesome. All right, so entering a parking garage, a cop aims a gun to Marcus's head, telling him that he's a vile piece of shit and that he doesn't deserve a trial. Then the mysterious girl saves Marcus by stabbing the cop in the back with a katana.
As one does.
Once Marcus is bagged and brought to a mysterious location, he wakes up to a group of kids who questions if he's an actual psychopath. And then when Master Lin walks in, telling Marcus to forgive his students. Lin then asks Marcus if he's satisfied with his life, notices that he's made a name for himself out there in the streets with this mysterious reputation that he has, which is why the cops are after him. And then sees some potential in Marcus and offers to train him to become one of the world's greatest assassins due to his potential that Lin sees in him. But immediately Marcus steps out and is like, "Yeah, I'm not really interested, so I'm just gonna just peace out and just get back to being homeless." But Saya therefore intervenes and basically talks to him about how like they're the same, how Marcus had lost his parents, and also how she lost her family, even though she irradiates and is like, no, like they pretty much see me as dead in their eyes, and basically like that kind of reels him in to maybe joining this place. But then Saya reveals that after revealing that Marcus that she's been telling Marcus for the past few months, that she noticed that he showed mercy to this homeless guy, which is kind of the main reason why Lin is choosing him to be a part of this cult, basically, which I think is pretty interesting. Which basically leads Marcus to accept the offer. What are you saying, Demoan?
No, I have a question. Do you think they would have let him just walk away after they told him, "Hey, we can train you to be an assassin"? Like, they really would have just let him walk away after that?
I mean, I think so. Just because they didn't really give too much details on like what was going on, like Lin didn't give that many details. So
I guess that's fair.
It's not really like a loose end. Know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, no. Good point to make. So then, once Marcus comes back, and also want to reiterate, and also explain that they're like Marcus would rather not be homeless and be on the run from the cops So that's why also a factor of why he chooses to accept Lynn's offer.
Mhm.
So once Marcus comes back, Lynn asks his students who wants to basically be Marcus's advocate, basically like watching Marcus and also help him through school life. No one really wants to do this, so Saya basically like volunteers herself as tribute as default because no one wanted to do it.
Now, I think one important thing to point out is that initially Lynn was going to advocate for him, but when he walked out, he rescinded that.
Yeah, he reciprocated and was like, yeah, I kind of don't want to do that anymore. So then once what happens, Lynn basically presses a button, this gate opens, and then they start walking through this series of chambers and like staircases, and this is when Lynn goes through the rules of this school. So the first rule is that Marcus is never, you can never reveal the school's location or he'll be eviscerated in his sleep. Number 2, there's no sex. Number 3, no drugs. Number 4, no disobedience. Number 5, obey your instructors. Number 6, do as instructed or be silenced.
Wait,
And
did
then,
you say no unsanctioned killing?
well,
So,
well, he didn't say that yet. He says it in the next issue.
Wait, he
But-
doesn't say no unsanctioned
No,
killing
he doesn't.
of no sex?
Yeah, he doesn't say no unsanctioned killing.
Right above no sex in the panel you have showing?
Oh, maybe he did. No, he did. I just forgot to put it on there. But yeah, no unsanctioned killing. And so those are the 6 rules of the school. And Lynn exclaims that due to his raw talent and the fire of rage inside him, he welcomes Marcus to King's Dominion School of the Deadly Arts. And that's how issue 1's ends. So thoughts on issue 1?
well, like I said, this is the first time I've ever read Deadly Class, and going into it, I really knew nothing about it other than people liked it, and it was by an author that I like.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't expecting it to be set in the 80s. I didn't really know anything. Like I said, I didn't really know anything about it going in premise-wise. So I was surprised to see, like, how it started and what it was all about and stuff like that. But overall, I enjoyed it. I think Marcus is interesting, which is good for a main character. His outlook on life, and as we'll get into later issues, the like fire of rage they mentioned in this, I think that's kind of interesting too.
Yeah, it's Marcus does like I think that's what makes the book, like at least like the whole series, like very interesting. Is the fact that like how Marcus views the world around him, and listen, Marcus is kind of an edgy boy, and knowing Rebecca, you love edgy boys, so
I do like edgy boys.
So, but yeah, and also like, and you can kind of see the reasons why Lynn chose him, like even throughout like Marcus's like journey through the streets and how he ends up getting involved with King's Dominion in the first place. But yeah, no, it's really cool, and I think making it set in the 80s, I think was the better choice than making it set in like the present or maybe in like an early. There's just something about the 80s that's just like, I don't know, maybe it's just the aesthetic that just works well with this, I think, in my opinion.
I think you can just get away with a lot more stuff in the 80s.
That's true.
It's so much easier to kill people in the 80s.
That's true. But Demoan, what are your thoughts on issue 1?
Oh, I really like issue 1. I got introduced to this by our friend Kaif in college. He described it to me as X-Men, but for assassins.
Yeah.
And it's a little off, but it's a pretty good description. I really like Marcus and like the story they gave him, the backstory of him living on the streets. I liked how even though like he very much hated his life, but at the end of the day, he still wanted to live.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a big driving force for him through this whole story, that he just wants to find something to live for.
That's true.
Before you first see it.
That's true. Yeah, the thing is, like, he's kind of been through a lot.
That might be an understatement.
Dude's living on the streets. We'll get to the boys' home later.
Yeah, we'll get to the boys' home later. But yeah, the fact that, like, he was living on the street. Well, first off, his parents were refugees due to a circumstance involving, that some shit that his dad got involved into. And then once they seem happy, they're immediately freaking, they're killed right in front of him by a psycho lady that jumped off a bridge and landed on top of him. and is on the streets, and we'll talk about the boys' home. But yeah, no, he's. I mean, like, yeah, if I was like 15 and like and dealt through all that shit, I would probably be narrating and all that other nonsense and all that other stuff too. You know what? And being edgy. So yeah, it makes sense.
What other choice do you have at that point?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, what else can you do? Like, it's just like, what? It makes sense. It makes sense. But yeah, I thought it was a good start. I thought it was a good start. But yeah, if that, it's a very strong start. And yeah, if that's it, then I guess we'll go on to issue 2.
Yeah, with the boys' home.
Oh Lord. Okay. Yeah, we'll just get right into it. So, next up, we're going to talk about issue 2 of Deadly Class, and I actually really like this cover. Also,
love this cover.
A lot of the covers in this book, in this series, are phenomenal. Some of my favorite covers in comics. So, yeah, I just want to make the colors and the way Wes Craig does the artwork and the composition, and also the colors from Lee Luridge. It's great. But yeah, so let's get into it. So issue 2, focus. We get a flashback to the Sunset Boys Home in 1986, so the year prior, and we see Marcus's roommate talking to him while he is It's implied that he's basically like he's jerking off to a dog show that he's seeing on television, and he basically like pretty much is talking about how like when he was a kid that like he had a connection with I think like a cat or something until like his father killed him, which like really rubbed him the wrong way, and he proceeds to call Marcus the F slur, which is like a word we do not use.
I think he's talking about a dog this time. I think the cat comes later.
Oh, okay, yeah, my fault. Yeah, it was a dog. And then he calls Marcus the F slur, which again is kind of
aggressive. It happens a lot, but again, it is the 80s.
Yeah, it happens a lot, especially with this character who we revealed to later. But yeah, and then but while he's doing this, Marcus sits away from him with a bloody nose, pretty much ignoring him. But at the same time, it appears that he's making a bomb of some kind. All right. So it cuts back to the present, and which is the next morning, after the ending of the last issue. So, the next morning at King's, Master Lin meets with Marcus to inform him that that the school is aware of his arrival, which will lead to complications. He reminds him to be grateful for the opportunity, and that since he's nameless, the students will test him, since most of them are legacy kids. And as well as that he cannot, as a reminder that he's not allowed to kill another student. And like while handing him his uniform, Lim talks about how his ancestors founded the school to empower the disenfranchised, and wants Marcus to be a part of that dream and to accomplish his desires, even though he has much to learn.
So I assume that's probably also part of the reason why he was chosen, because he has no background and they want to lift him up, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. Like you said, I think it was like, it's interesting the way like Remender writes Lin, where he actually incorporates like my ancestors were literally a part of like rebellions and stuff when they came to this country, which is actually like historically accurate, especially in the 1800s with the massive influx of Chinese immigrants in San Francisco. So I like how like he kind of ties that into like his backstory, and also how that's reflective towards how he sees Marcus. So I mean, it makes.
It's crazy. It's crazy how the school's whole philosophy is kill your way to a better world.
Yeah. Even though he did mention that, like, yeah, even though my family, my ancestors founded the school for a good reason, it kind of got like flushed away when they got some of the other kids who are involved in other organizations involved. So like, in that,
they might be assassins, but they're kind of ethical assassins.
Yeah, they're kind of ethical.
They got a rule they operate by, at least.
Exactly. But yeah, so sorry. Oh, let me get track on here on my notes. All right. So while Marcus is on the ground, is walking on the grounds into the grounds in the hallway, Marcus expresses how he already hates it there, and you kind of can see it while like everyone's pretty much staring at him, which what Lin was saying to him in the previous page. And he notices that even these students follow the same asshole high school tropes, and the only difference is that the knife that can be put in your back is actually real this time. So while it transitions to him opening his locker, and he's welcomed to and he notices a little welcoming gift inside, which you see is a little doll that has a knife stabbed into it with a note that says "child killer." So then more planting seeds on Marcus's, what Marcus's deal is and why he has like this kind of this rep. And then while he's going through his locker, a Dixie chick confronts him, who pretty much assumes his ethnicity and tells him that the Dixie mob a Dixie mob has their eyes on him. So yeah, this race.
Yeah.
So then
what's going on? What kind of flabbergasted me is she grouped Mexicans, Arabs, Turks, and Filipinos all in the same group.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're all so different.
Yeah, it's pretty much that, and the fact that she also is just like, saying that the Dixie mob is going to have her eyes on him, and she says like, and she says muchacho at the end. I'm just like, ooh, like
she's literally racist. Are you surprised?
Yeah, she's super racist. Yeah, and we'll get into why she's racist in a bit, but yeah. So after that confrontation, he's then greeted by Satoato, which is like a more like Latino clique, and it's run by Chico and his girl Maria, who we saw the last issue, who is the girl with the Dios de los Muertos outfit with the fans, and they're basically offering him a spot on their crew for protection by his own people, and also Chico also acknowledges that due to Marcus's rep, like all the kids are scared shitless. Most of the kids are scared shitless, but Marcus humbly declines his offer since affiliations aren't really his thing. So again, Rebecca, he's too edgy for them.
I can't wait till he goes behind the school.
Exactly. So it transitions to basically Marcus going throughout his day, throughout the course of the school day. Marcus is taking classes such as assassin psychology for first period, beheading for second period, and poisons for third. Which I think it's so funny. I love that. That's so much in the life. Like they're treating like these crazy ass classes as just regular high school courses. I think it's like so funny.
So do you think any of these kids actually know how to read?
I think some of them definitely do. I think the preps know how to read.
Yes, the Dixie mob doesn't, because they're all inbred.
Dixie mob doesn't. Sotos Vatos, I think some of them do. The Jersey Kings?
Nah.
No.
Maybe.
Sorry, no.
They're all about the gabagool, so it's questionable.
They can only read Italian.
But not even just real Italian, just Jersey Italian. But yeah, I think the class environments, like they're these crazy ass classes, but the way Wes Craig and Rick Remender portray them as just regular high school courses, and Marcus is still bored in each and every one of them, I think it's hilarious. But yeah, so it transitions to after third period, he goes to lunch, and no one is letting him sit at the table, clearly because he's the new kid, which leads him to go outside, where he believes his people are. And I like how we did, like, Demoan, can you remember, what did he describe them as? I didn't write it down in my notes, but like his type of people.
Gosh, the freaks, the subculture elitists, those who in general don't mix well with others.
Yeah.
And then he says, he also says the disenfranchised substance abusers.
Yeah.
People.
His people. Yeah. So it makes sense. Which leads him to So this is when we are introduced to Willie, Petra, Billy, and Lex smoking outside in the graveyard. And Willie was the black kid with the dreads, with the braids in the last issue that warned Marcus about the cops coming after him. Yeah.
He said it's a sting.
Yeah, that was a sting. So then, while talking about their future aspirations after graduation, Lex asks Marcus what he plans to do as a killer after graduating, which Marcus reveals is to kill the man that ruined his life. Is that the person that he's going to assassinate is Ronald Reagan, which everyone laughs at. Everyone's just like, you're full of shit, kid. Stop it. Transitions to 5th period, which is hand-to-hand combat. Marcus is brought up to the class for demonstration, only to get his ass kicked in front of everyone by the teacher. And at the same time, USSR student Victor is talking shit, but Shabnam makes a comment to shut him up that rubs Victor the wrong way. And Shabnam's the kid right next to Victor. After class in the showers, Marcus hears Shabnam getting jumped by Victor and his goons. He faces Victor and gets him to stop by acknowledging the fact that beating up a naked fat kid is giving him a boner. I think it's hilarious. So after that, it transitions to Marcus.
They really could have jumped him anywhere else.
Yeah, but yeah, like that's the thing. Like, why do they have to jump him in the showers where they're all butt naked? Like, it makes no sense. Also want to acknowledge that, like, while they beat him up, Shabnam shits himself, and the 2 other goons step in it, which I think is like kind of funny. So after that, it transitions to Shabnam and Marcus walking through the halls. And Marcus exclaims that he's just gonna Shabnam tells Marcus that he didn't really have to do that and defend him. And Marcus exclaims that he's just gonna let him get him beat up the next time because he's doing a pretty good job of shitting himself. Then a guard hands.
I think did you mention that the guy that was beating on Shabnam was the son of one of Stalin's top assassins?
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah, Victor was the son of Stalin's top assassin, so he's also one of the. I guess you would consider him a prep. I guess you would kind of consider him a prep because he's kind of like a rich kid. I don't know.
Maybe I feel like they're a different faction because it seems like the preps are American because it's FBI, CIA.
That's true. But yeah, so
like a Russian faction or something.
Yeah, I pretty much. They don't really say it, but like I would just assume so. Mm-hmm. While Marcus and Shabnam are talking, a guard comes up to Marcus and hands him a box containing a rat skeleton, telling him to bear the mark. In confusion, Shabnam explains that he's been chosen to take Master Lin's AP Black Arts class. Noticing how clueless Marcus is, Shabnam gives him a crash course on all the cliques in King's Dominion, and I love this page a lot. And basically, he goes through the preps, which are the rich kids, which are Demoan mentioned before, which are mostly CIA and FBI, which are run by Kendall, who was one of the kids that helped Marcus escape the cops last issue. Let's see. And then the Dixie Mob, which that racist Dixie chick girl is a part of, who belong to the white nationalists and the neo-Nazis, and which are run by Brandy, who was that same racist Dixie chick. The Jersey Kings, who are the mafia kids that push the drugs through school. The Final World Order, who are the South Central LA gangs, like the Bloods, the Crips, the Crenshaw Mafia, all that jazz, which are run by Willie. The Sotovato, which are the cartel kids, which are run by Chico and Maria. And lastly, the Kuroki Syndicate, which are the Yakuza kids, and they're run by Saya, who was the mysterious tattooed girl that Marcus is kind of catching feelings for.
Kind of,
yeah. And also Shabnam acknowledges that Saya was put in the ditch for 2 days after killing the cop saving Marcus by killing that cop last issue. All right. While at 7th period,
killings.
No unsanctioned killings. Keep that in your head, people. All right. So while at 7th period in AP Black Arts, Marcus introduced himself to the teacher, and Lex gladly calls him out for wanting to kill the president before being silenced. And then the instructor informs that this course will be the most terrible trials they have all experienced in their lives, and that their assignment is to kill a person that they deem deserves to be murdered, with the fact that they provide evidence, and if they're caught, they will be killed. Once they're partnered, they're asked to choose a partner, and Marcus doesn't want to be picked by everybody else because he's the new kid, so he's ended up being partners with Willie. So yeah, and so basically that's the ending of like that story arc, that scene, and it transitions to I think it's it transitions to an area where it's a cop investigating this incident at a barn, or I think it's a barn, and basically he shows up on the scene to hear a goat pretty much screaming, and he's doing further investigation. He notices that a mysterious man is doing some very wrong things to this goat. and while this is happening,
this picture is so far off.
I think the worst part is the close up on the goat's eyes.
Honestly, right? Yeah, like the poor goat's eyes. So
he looks so sad and concerned.
Yeah,
the cop so bad.
It's so bad. The cop tells the guy, put his hand in the air. And then but this mysterious figure is telling the cop that all he's doing is spreading love. He's doing nothing wrong. Then this guy ends up pulling a string, which reveals that the over the cop's head is a bag full of bricks. The bricks fall on the cop.
Low key, that's kind of funny though. That's kind of
it's some Looney Tune shit. Yes. It's some Looney Tune shit. It's hilarious.
That means he really strung this up before he started doing everything.
Exactly.
I wonder how long it took him, to be honest.
Do you think the cop was standing on like a big red X?
Maybe. And then and this guy basically told him, like, yeah, there's like he's been noticing that like there's been he noticed that there was a sting last week in the Mission District, that a lot of the cops were chasing down this kid, and the rumor that this kid was the one who torched the boys' home a couple years back, and he said, like, but the thing is, like, I got personal feelings against it because and he's like I'm gonna tell you everything about this homeless kid, and he's like an officer, I think you think I was fucking that goat hard, but wait till you see what I'm gonna do to my pal Marcus. And that's how this issue ends. So thoughts on issue 2, people?
I gotta say, when I read this, I was not expecting the bestiality.
Yeah, it came as a surprise to me, and I read this before. I forgot about it.
Yeah, it kind of... I didn't forget about it, because this is some shit that you just can't forget when it comes to this book. But
I must have blocked it out. I had to.
Yeah.
From my memory.
But yeah. But what are your thoughts on this issue besides the bestiality?
Otherwise, I think this issue is a lot of like world building and establishing, all our characters, all our cliques, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I think this issue is fine. Like I said, it's mostly just setup. I think it's kind of funny that this assassin school is still basically just a normal high school, except with worse groups of people.
That's what I'm saying. Like they still do the typical like Remender does a good job of just like taking those typical high school cliques you've seen from like classic like 80s, like coming of age 80s films, but like spinning them a bit with like, these gang affiliated kids. I think it makes sense. And it fits, and I think it's very interesting. But yeah, Demoan, what do you think?
I think I'm in the same camp as Rebecca. I think it's just it's a good issue, a lot of world building. One thing that we learned in this issue that'll come up later on is a lot of the back, like motivations for the characters and why they're in the school. Like one of the characters, we learned that his dad put him in because to pay off one of his debts. He was
which is Billy.
Cop.
Yeah.
That one will come up later in this video, but they gave us like a lot of world building, which was nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm the same boat. I think the best part about this issue is the world building. Marcus, going into his how he perceives the people in the school, like the other students as well as the faculty, and as well as him, like, getting used to this, like just being a student at this assassin school, getting the cliques. The fact that like you kind of see him as a character, he kind of is like he defends the defenseless. I think that's like a best way to put it. You know, when he saves Shabnam for Victor. And yeah, and pretty much that's pretty much it. Like I'm like just getting to know like just the world of King's Dominion is like the best part about this issue. So
I will say this: it's a shame this book doesn't take place in the 2000s because Marcus would love the Hot Topic kids.
Marcus would be a Hot Topic kid.
He would. I also think so too. Like he would have been a nice Hot Topic kid. That's a fact. But yeah, and also just the plot twist with this mysterious figure with the messed up face, with the fucked up face at the end was a good like whoa there, which is I think it was pretty good. So yeah, that's all I really gotta say. So yeah, so who's gonna do issue 3?
I got 3 and 4.
All right, so Rebecca.
All right, so Deadly Class number 3. Here is the cover. Again, cool cover, nice colors. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to this.
Oh, it's fucking awesome. Like that's all. Most of them are actually the covers that they're fucking awesome.
The covers are great. I have the trade paperback and I get a bunch of the alternates for especially the first one, but the covers they give are beautiful. For the
it makes me wish that like I got like the single issues for them, because like just yeah, that's just me.
All right, so getting into this issue, we open with Willie and Marcus sleeping from rooftop to rooftop, trying to find someone to kill. Willie doesn't quite make one jump and almost falls, crying that he almost died after Marcus has to pull him back to safety. And I might be kind of flying through these, Mikey, so try to keep it.
It's all good. It's all good.
Marcus later berates Willie for crying, saying that it isn't exactly gangbanger behavior, and Willie regales his tragic backstory that right before his 12th birthday, he shot 5 people after they murdered his dad right in front of him. Willie tells Marcus about the importance of reputation and how you have to be tough if you want people to not fuck with you.
So for people that are wondering, Willie's the Ice Cube of this book.
I also love the little picture of Willie standing there with 2 smoking guns.
Dude, like this man out here like in a freaking like John Wick movie, just like guns blazing, shooting fools at 12. That's hilarious.
It's aggressive. I love it. It's great picture work. The blood dripping from the walls.
Oh. It's good shit. It's good shit.
Yeah. So the 2 end up at a homeless encampment, and Marcus tries to get some dirt on a scumbag his homeless acquaintance Rory knows. However, when they show up at the guy's tent to kill him, we see this is the same guy Marcus chose not to kill in issue 1. Willie goes to shoot him, but for all his talk, he can't pull the trigger and the guy gets away. Willie confesses that he's never actually killed anyone, and in that event from his backstory, his uncle actually killed all those guys, but gave Willie the gun so he could build a reputation. And as the 2 talk, we see someone is watching them.
And here's the thing: we will do a bonus episode on the show. That was a thing I didn't realize that they changed. Like, so I don't know. I don't know which one I like better. The
Mikey's the only one who has seen the show, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, we'll talk about it, but I don't know. I'll just say I don't know what I like better. The Willie's backstory in the show, or Willie's backstory in the comic. But it's still good shit though. Either way.
Okay.
Well, I guess we'll get to the show eventually, I'm told.
Yes.
Yeah, like 5 or 10 episodes in. Anyway, later the 2 go back and eat some expired beans out of a can with Rory, and Rory explains how he ended up homeless after being broken in Nam. During this, Rory says maybe he could have done something with his life if he is a pretty boy like Marcus. And hearing the phrase pretty boy sets Marcus off, as it's heavily implied that he was sexually assaulted at some point, probably by Rory, though it's not 100% clear. And Marcus is so full of rage that he kills Rory, bludgeoning him to death. And we end this issue with the pair's kill complete.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Yeah, so I'll give my thoughts. I mean, this issue kind of reads pretty quick, which makes sense how Rebecca was able to breeze through it so fast, because that's kind of how I did it when I read this issue. It's pretty straightforward. Liking the fact that they're kind of building a somewhat friendship between Willie and Marcus in a way.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I skipped over is Marcus basically saying their like friendship is transactional. Like they're not friends; they're just like using each other for now, whether Willie thinks so or not.
Yeah, like because at the end of the day, like they want to get a good grade and like not die. So like they have to be stuck with each other for now. You know, makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I also thought it was funny that when Willie couldn't kill the homeless man, he threw the gun and then almost killed Marcus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. Like the bullet was like literally like inches away from me, like hitting Marcus in the dome.
Right.
Yeah. But I do find it very interesting, how the import and we'll know about this when with Willie going forward, but like the importance of like having a reputation in King's Dominion and how that basically like allows you to survive the place. And I do like the fact that Willie is a character who was brought into King's Dominion by his mom to be a killer for the South Central LA gangs, but inevitably like he's a pacifist and doesn't like to kill for this reason due to like what happened with his pops and his uncle. So I think it's a very
I like that Willie has a heart, and I think that makes him good foil for Marcus, who's like very brutal and like just beating the shit out of someone. Like I think it's very interesting how he just like snaps. It's like he's not even a person anymore. He's just like a killing machine.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah, and Marcus very much has that off switch that he can turn off, which is, I guess, maybe being a killer, but very concerning also.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, I think this issue was pretty good. And yeah, and the fact that like the guy with the fucked up face is just like looking at Marcus and behind the scenes, I think is very interesting. It's and he says an F slur, so it kind of teases on who this guy is, but we'll get into it in a little bit. But yeah, I love this issue. This issue was pretty fun issue.
I like how we're using slurs as a foreshadowing device.
They do it, but he does. But Rick Remender does that though. Like it's just it's kind of wild. But
I can tell what character is going to show up next by what slur they use.
I mean, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, also I do find it interesting the fact that like just before we move on, how Marcus returning back to this encampment, like this homeless encampment, kind of gives him a sense of familiarity, because like him eating the expired bean says like he actually enjoys eating it because he's just so used to it for so many years, and just like
him.
Yeah, he said like he feels like he seems more comfortable at this encampment than in King's Dominion right now. I think that's very interesting. So yeah. That's pretty much all. That's what I'm holding on. Any more thoughts before we move on to issue 4?
I think I'm good. I like this issue.
Yeah. So all right. So we'll move on to issue 4. And again, great fucking cover, man. I wish I bought the fucking singles for this. God damn it.
All right. So issue 4. So skipping forward in the story just a little bit, it turns out Willie and Marcus failed their assignment as they murdered a, quote, undeserving man, which they will be punished for. Mm-hmm. So Marcus ends up in solitary for a week, but that night, Saya comes to bust him out. Dragging Marcus along, the main gang head to Vegas to kill Billy's dad. On the way, Saya and Marcus are talking while Maria keeps hitting on and crushing on Marcus, even though she's staying Chico, and Chico gets so mad that he almost crashes the car they're all in. The next...
It is like, listen, I love Chico just because he's such a jealous, he's such a jealous type. It is so funny. But yeah, it's great. It's great. Also, you missed the part where they just did lines of cocaine. You have to acknowledge that, Rebecca. Come on.
They did do lines of cocaine. That was something that happened.
You have to acknowledge the drug use. It's the 80s.
And they were best friends because of it, apparently. Which
that's what happens when you do cocaine.
And the thing is, like, I love the fact that, like, from what we've seen of Saya from we've introduced her, she's very serious. So to see her just like with Maria doing lines in a bathroom and them getting like amped up, so her cutting loose is I think it's just great. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So the next day, the group stop at a Grateful Dead concert to buy drugs. Saya says she'll handle the drug buying, but Marcus and Millie insist on buying their own supply, as Marcus is the self-proclaimed acid king. So they find a dealer, but an hour after trying a square, they feel nothing. Having been duped, when the next drug dealing... What?
They spend all $100 on their drugs that don't even work.
Yeah, and Saya warned them, let her do it because they're gonna end up buying bunk drugs.
And they did.
They did. Should have just listened.
This is why you gotta let a woman buy your drugs.
It's true.
I mean, listen. It's the 80s, man. They didn't learn that shit yet.
Anyway, having been duped, when the next drug dealing hippie approaches them and tries to give them sample hits, they all take one except Marcus, who says, fuck your sham drugs, and takes 6 hits at once. And 36 minutes later, Marcus is curled up in a fetal position under their car, high out of his mind.
Dude, like, it's so funny. And they're just all trying to comfort him, being like, hey, buddy, like, get out of there, man. Like, the digital mountains aren't there. Like, you're not going to be sucked into the digital consciousness.
I don't even know what the digital mountains mean. I know it's just nonsense, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
I guess you gotta take 6 hits of acid at once to find out.
I'd rather not. I'm probably not going, to be honest.
I mean, well, I mean, yeah, I'm not even gonna say it. No, I'm not gonna expose Demoan. Never mind. I'll just keep going.
This is a drug-free channel.
Yeah, it's a drug-free channel.
Drugs are bad, kids.
Yeah, don't do drugs unless you're a kid in an assassin school in the 80s.
No, you're not supposed to do drugs then either.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the 6 rules.
Yeah, it's just one of the 6 rules. Yeah, don't do drugs.
So the group says they'll get him out of there, but of course, once again, they're heading to the sensory nightmare that is Vegas. More specifically,
like literally, like
the worst place to take someone on acid.
Like,
and to make things worse, they're taking him to Circus, which again for you guys, is a real place and is a shitty strip hotel. So not the best place to be, especially if you're afraid of clowns.
That's the thing too. Like, we all asked Rebecca off camera while we were prepping so long. While I was prepping so long to even start this podcast, I asked if it was a real place. Apparently, it's real. I might, future Mikey, when you make a clip of this, splice in some actual clips of Circus because I need.
Maybe it was slightly better in the 80s. I don't know, but that place is.
I'm sorry. You think it was slightly better in the 80s?
Nah, I doubt it.
I assume there were more drugs than there are now, to be honest.
I mean, like, slightly cleaner, but...
Okay.
And shout out to, like, Wes Craig, because Wes Craig does a really good job throughout this entire issue, showcasing, like, using different style techniques to showcase Marcus tripping the fuck out, and also lurid with the colors. Like, this page alone, like, these 2 pages alone, is the epitome of, like, I've never seen sensory overload done in a comic book before I read this. So...
This trip is very visually interesting. I'll say that.
It really is. Like the freaking the thing on the screen talking to him, and then he morphs into Reagan, showcasing like Marcus's like fear of Reagan. I guess like it's so cool. But yeah, all right, continue.
All right. So at the hotel, Maria tries to talk Marcus through his trip to no avail. Again, upsetting Chico. And as Marcus trips, we end the issue seeing someone is following them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think it's important to note at this point, Marcus has realized that he is not the Acid King.
Yes, true. That's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also the fact that like while like towards the end of the issue, like Marcus is kind of like, even though he's tripping the fuck out, and Maria's trying her best not to like have him get worse, but like the fact that he's kind of like when he says like we wilt against the exponentially increasing current, and he's like, it's like what if this never ends? Like it's like he's kind of like slowly predicting the events of like the next 2 issues. And it's like in a way, in his own like in his own like bad trip way. I think it's very interesting. But yeah, thoughts on this issue? This issue's a lot of fucking fun. I love it.
I love the start of the acid trip issue. There's so much going on, from start to finish, really.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot going on. Seeing Marcus tripping the hell out throughout the whole thing, and seeing like how because we're used to seeing how Marcus perceives his world when he narrates, like sober, and how edgelord that is. But now to see him, a little bit looser because he's tripping the hell out, even though it's a bad trip, seeing how he perceives the world visually and narratively is very interesting and just like very fun. And yeah, also I kind of want to point out real quick, I kind of noticed this. I think this is an homage. I'm a full screen layout. I'm a full screen layout. The thing I think is so like the right here on the left side, on the page on the left. Is this supposed to be like that Johnny Depp in that one movie, like where he's like high as shit in like Vegas? I think it is.
I haven't seen that movie, so I'm not completely sure.
Or like that image of like Johnny Depp like wearing like a kind of like a weird cap and like a red like Hawaiian shirt, and he's like smoking a cigarette, wearing those same glasses. I think he's bald in that too. Look it up, people. I'm gonna look up that movie while we.
Yes, future Mikey, splice some clips in here for us.
I will. But yeah, this issue is very well done. I think, and we will see in the future when we do the series, Craig do a lot of experimental shit like this, and which is why I love him as one. He's one of my favorite artists because of it. But yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. But note to self though, I want to also address that like Marcus, when he's told to have to go to a Grateful Dead concert to get the drugs, he explicitly explains that he doesn't. It's not like he didn't want to go just because he doesn't. It's not like he doesn't like the Grateful Dead. He does. He just hates hippies, like, which is like a general theme without like these characters that like they don't like hippies. And also the fact that like Billy also installed that he got some head by this random ass like angel girl for an exchange of like these like 2 concert tickets that were fake. It's just like, and like that's what I like about this issue. Like, it's just teenagers being teenagers in the 80s. I think it's so fun.
It's crazy, and I think I just want to go back a little bit to when Chico almost crashed off the road. The person on the bike, is that Fuckface?
Yeah,
Fuckface on the bike.
Yeah, because in this page here, you see him take off the helmet and it's revealed to be Fuckface. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's a thing where you're like you'll see it or miss it type of deal. So, but yeah, I'm good. I don't have more thoughts. I just love this issue a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's gonna get even more fun.
Oh boy, it is.
All right, Rebecca. So you want to talk about who got issue 5? I think it's Demoan. Yeah, Demoan.
I got issue 5.
Mm-hmm.
So we start off issue 5. As always, the cover is wonderful.
Very, like I just noticed this. Is it supposed to be like a casino token?
I think so.
Holy shit, Craig, you did it again, buddy. I never caught that. That's awesome. It's a psychedelic casino token with Marcus in the middle. That's so sick.
They even got the clown in the background, even if you look closely.
Yeah.
Oh, good for that. Oh, I didn't even catch that before either. That's a good one.
It's just a hidden like it's like a Where's Waldo of comic book covers. There's just always this hidden shit everywhere.
Like the art has meaning.
The art has meaning, guys. Like that's nuts.
But anyway, we can dive into issue 5. So issue 5 starts off with our friend Marcus in a jail with some kind of cop who's looking at the fake ID and just kind of telling him, your ID is shit, man. Like, I have never seen a fake ID this bad. apparently he like crossed stuff off and wrote it in like a different color ink.
I think I don't know if they said it if it was revealed in this or if they're saying it later, but it said he just literally went to Kinko's, copied someone else's ID, and then just replaced the photo, and then just wrote it in, and just wrote the other stuff in pen, but he used blue ink instead of black.
Yeah, I think that might be after he gets caught a little later. But anyway, we flash back to Marcus in the room with Billy, and Marcus apparently has asked like 6 times where everyone went, and he's told, "Hey, they went to get snacks." And we're going through this conversation. Marcus is still tripping. We're getting this view of like 6 Billies walking around the room. Billy dressed as the Tin Man because they had a Wizard of Oz reference moments ago. And like they're kind of like flipping through the channels, and Billy's getting antsy all the while because his dad is right down the hall. And as we know, they're here to kill the dad.
I think we also have to know everyone else did also do a tab of acid, and I'm not sure if they're still high or not.
No, they are. They mentioned that they still are. They were.
Yeah, most of them definitely are. Our boy Marcus is going to be gone for a few days, though. So anyway, Billy walks out because he's getting antsy. And then all of a sudden we hear a bunch of thumps and crashes coming from the next room over. Marcus kind of goes to investigate, and when he goes in, he looks and sees that his friend is choking out his dad with a tie, but it does not look like it's working well for him.
Because look at Billy, he's so strong. Look at his dad is so fat. Like, he's just like...
I'm surprised he get the tie around his neck, to be honest.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
It's not a tie, it's a belt.
Oh, yeah, it is a belt. Good call. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't think a tie is effective for strangulation. I think a belt, that makes more sense.
You definitely strangle someone with a tie.
Okay.
Belt would be easier, though. You're right.
Put in the comments, can you strangle someone with a tie? Like, if it's effective or not.
I don't think YouTube's going to let people answer that question, Mikey.
Maybe that shouldn't be the question of the day.
Yeah, never mind. I shouldn't ask that. All right, continue.
But anyway, his cop abuser dad turns the situation and starts choking his son now. But Marcus comes in with, is it like an ashtray?
No, I think it's like
it's an ashtray because they used to let people smoke inside. But anyway, he just bashes his dad's head in with an ashtray, and that's when we find out Billy he didn't really want to kill his dad. He just wanted his father's love.
Yeah, and I like the fact that, like, even though Marcus is tripping, he sees Billy over his dad's corpse, but it's Billy as a child, you know, as an allegory for wanting his dad's love. I think it's really, really cool.
It's true. Billy just wanted his dad to love him, but unfortunately they have to hide the body now. Unfortunately for them, Marcus forgot his key card, so they can't get back in the room. Which, honestly, I'm gonna say this one's on Billy.
It is on Billy.
I know Billy's probably on acid too, but he's got to know better than to leave the key card with Marcus.
Yeah. That's like, he left the key card. Well, first off, he strangled his dad, and he tried to kill his dad ahead of schedule, and also he left Marcus in a room by himself. Like that's it is Billy's fault.
Yeah, but they're wandering around, apparently like covered in blood. They feel like, but they're locked out, and Billy's like, "Hey, fuck it, we'll go through the casino, we'll find our friends." But Marcus says, "Hey, you know how I'm on acid right now? I don't think a casino is going to be a good place for me."
At this point, he's also being followed around by like hallucinations of clowns.
Yeah,
it's terrifying, even if you're not afraid of clowns.
Mm-hmm.
So, but apparently he's just starting to peak now. So apparently it wasn't even wild for him before. But they go down through the casino, and Mr. T comes out of one of the slot machines and starts pointing at Marcus to come over and play.
This is the funniest shit.
This scene really got me because it's Mr. T, and it's 4 Mr. T faces as like the bars on like the slot machine.
And here's the thing, right? I'm convinced that like if I go to Vegas, I have to find a Mr. T slot machine.
You gotta go to Circus Circus.
Yeah, I gotta go to Circus Circus. But yeah, but like it's a Mr. T like talking out of like the machine directly to Mark. I think it's so funny. And then when he wins, like you won, fool. I think it's so funny. It's hilarious.
Right. But I also think it's important to note that while they're walking around, Billy's having like this dialogue to himself, talking about like, shit, we just killed my dad, man. I mean, he deserved it, but like, fuck. Maybe we're not good people, you know? And I'm like, you know what? I think you're onto something.
Maybe murder is bad? What?
But anyway, like I said, Marcus won a bunch of coins from that slot machine because he hit the Mr. T jackpot.
He won, fool.
He did. But he's looking suspicious, saying it doesn't matter, it's my money.
He's also a minor at a casino.
Come on, Rebecca. You think he can pass an adult?
Not with his ID.
Also, I want to say I absolutely love his face on the far right panel, like the really long one. I love the long one. He just looks so sunken in.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Lord, yeah.
But anyway, now we flash back to where we were at the beginning with the, I guess security guard, we'll call him. He's not really a cop. And he's saying like, shitty fake ID. You went to a Kinko's, you crossed something out and then wrote it in blue ink. And then he berates him, saying like, you know this is a felony, right? And all the while he makes a deal with Marcus that, hey, I'll just take that money off of your hands and I'll let you walk away. No questions asked. And of course, at that point, what do you do if you're Marcus? You argue with him? No, you just take the money and walk away.
Granted, if Marcus was sober, he'd try to probably put up a fight, but no, because he's so dumb, he's still tripping on acid. He's just like, take it, go.
Yeah, because I'm on drugs. He just wasn't gonna have it. And then he gets into this really awkward elevator scene, which I'm in love with, to be honest. He's just standing in the elevator with these two grown men, and he doesn't know what to say because he thinks you're supposed to say something on elevators. No, you should be in silence the entire time. But he forces a conversation, and they both just look at him like he's so strange. And then finally, he gets back to the room, and that's where things get a little spicy. Someone's waiting for him.
How spicy we talking?
That's right. Maria's waiting for him in the room. Immediately, she pulls him in. And she asks him, you ever been laid on Marcus acid? Or have you ever been laid on acid Marcus? Two different Marcus apparently is a virgin at this point. And Maria tries to start pulling him in to do what Maria plans to do. But unfortunately for both of them, our boy Chico shows up pointing a gun. Now, would you say he's mad in this picture?
I mean,
well, I wouldn't say he's happy.
Yes, yeah. True. Seems very upset. But anyway, obviously in this situation, they run. Maria tells Marcus to just get out of here. She's gonna be a distraction. Marcus doesn't hesitate. Dips, leaves Maria.
Not even hesitate. He dips, and then he just goes straight for the fucking window.
Yeah, straight for the window, jumps for a palm tree that he's not even 100% sure is there.
Yeah.
A hallucination. If it was fake, he would have died.
Oh, man.
No, but, anyway, Maria and Chico are fighting in this room. Chico's kind of kicking the shit out of Maria, but Maria gets in a few good hits. Right until she's just kind of, what's the word when you whack someone with your gun again?
Weapon?
Like when you whack someone with your gun, there's a specific word.
Like clocked?
Maybe?
Like, clocked.
We're gonna go with clocked.
Pistol whipped. Pistol whipped.
That's what it is. Thank you. Yes. So he calls her a cheating whore and pistol whips her, knocking her out. He assumed he jumps out the window after our boy. No, he actually would go down the stairs because it looks like he comes out the front door. But he chases after Marcus through the streets until he tackles Marcus through the window of a 7-Eleven.
Fucking wild.
At this point, they're just having a bare knuckle brawl until Chico whips out a knife and slashes Marcus across the chest, to which Marcus returns the favor with a piece of glass he finds on the ground. At this point, Chico just kind of kicks Marcus's face in a lot more. The issue kind of ends with Marcus getting curb stomped repeatedly. It's just crack, crack, crack. It's not a pretty sight for Marcus.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the end of that issue. We end it. Well, the last page is all black, and it's just the word crack on it.
Yeah, which is not a good look for it. It means that things are not really going well for Marcus.
Yeah, it was not a good look for him. He's in bad shape.
But yeah, I thought this issue was cool. I prefer the last issue more, but I mean, I do like how things are kind of like escalating throughout the course of this issue. Do like the fact that like the reveal that the security, like Marcus isn't actually in jail. It's like he got caught by casino security, and that was the interrogation from last issue, which is pretty funny. I think Billy got some really cool like character development, like I think in this, because even though
Billy got cool character development for all of how much longer he's around.
That's true. But yeah, like it's just the fact that Billy's like, even though Billy wanted to kill his dad, he's still I would say unfortunately cares about him, but like that's just a product.
Daddy issues where you love your dad, but you also hate your dad.
It's true.
But also, like, his dad is also a piece of shit. Like, he literally just says, like, all I ever wanted was your obedience, peckerhead. That's what he calls him. Like, it's just, like, clearly not a good dude, but, but at the end of the day, like, he's still your dad. So, like, it's still kind of, like, it's still sad, But, yeah, love Marcus, like, going through the casino and just, like, having, like, the worst trip he's ever had. Like, it's so great. His interaction with the security guard. I love the fact that, like, there's that one page. I think it's right after you gotta talk about the page like with the face. There's one page, the page after that, where like the security guard looks super freaking huge, and he points at Marcus, and like his face like caves in. Like it's hilarious.
Don't let you forget that he's tripping on acid this entire issue, which I think is important.
Yeah, they do a really good job of like reminding you constantly that Marcus still isn't okay. The interaction with Maria, and I want to also we missed something last last issue, the fact that Maria talks about like she's trying to get with Marcus, even though Billy mentions while they're on their driving that he can see that Marcus is clearly into Saya, like so.
I'm glad you brought that up, because at that point Maria had said a line that I thought was ridiculous. She said that men will change their goals from unobtainable to obtainable once they realize the difference. So she was really saying, I'm totally cool playing second fiddle. I just want him to want me.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. And
which is an insane concept.
Yeah. But and then also the stuff like the fact that when Maria tries to get into it with Marcus, immediately she's like, "Oh, have you ever been laid on acid?" He's like, "No, I've never been laid." Like his man outs himself immediately. I think it's so funny. But the stuff with Chico is great. And just like the fact that Chico's like, "Yeah, I've watched WCW. I'm gonna fucking spear this man into a freaking 7-Eleven window" is insane.
The form was perfect. Shoulders down.
Mm-hmm. But also the fact that like it also shows how kind of far Chico is willing to go as a character in order to, and how overprotective of Maria and how jealous, overprotective he is of Maria, because he's willing to kill.
Also his honor at some point as well, like his own honor.
Exactly. So
I
it's
think
just
there's
like
definitely a selfish motivation behind it, not just his love for Maria.
exactly. Yeah, and we'll get into it next issue. But yeah, I like this issue a lot. I think it's just the escalation of everything that's going on is pretty fun. Even though I do think that like, I mean, the ending is it seems abrupt, but I feel like they were going for more like a cinematic ending. Like this fits more of like an ending of like an episode to a TV show where like it's just Chico beating Marcus's head and then just it cuts to black. So
Now
I
I got a question. Was
What's up?
this one of the episodes in the Deadly Class show?
Yes.
Did you say that? I don't know how far it got. Was
No,
it just
they don't do this. They don't do this scene, but like the first season of Deadly Class is the first 2 volumes of the comic.
first 2 volumes?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I have to say I like it. I don't know anyone else has anything else I want to say. Or...
I don't think I got nothing more for this issue.
All right.
Yeah, it was a good issue. A lot of funny visuals with the Marcus being high.
I think the clown is terrifying. I don't like it.
No, the clown is bad. But it's wonderfully drawn.
Mm-hmm. But all right, well, so we'll get right into the last issue. So issue number 6, people.
I think this is one of my favorite covers. I don't know, red and black as a cover just always jumps to me. I especially love it.
It's more of like is it a red? Or I think it's more like a hot pink. That's what I think about it.
Is that hot pink? I
think it's more red.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I like this image so much that it was the cover of this. It's in the thumbnail. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, this definitely feels like a red looking at it. Here as well.
Yeah. And I like how like the bar, even though like it's simple, just bars and like lines and like rectangles, it's supposed to like mimic like dripping blood. I think it's a simplified version of that. I think it's so well done.
You can see the little bit of splatter running down in some of the places, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, great cover. But we opened this next issue, so we closed last issue with Marcus kind of getting his shit stomped in.
Yeah,
he was just kind of getting absolutely rocked. Curb stomped, really. But we start this issue with someone decided to call the police.
Why would someone do that, Demoan?
I don't know. It's just they came through.
But you're not supposed to do that in Vegas. You're supposed to mind your business.
Exactly. What's happened in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah. I'm surprised the cops even showed up.
No, they probably heard something about minority and they came running.
Yeah.
Because he's Sotovato, he's cartel, right?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Well, Sotovato is just the school name, but like, yeah, he is a cartel. He's a cartel affiliate. So
yeah. So anyway, the cops come in, immediately do what cops do and pull out their. I mean, in fairness, this is a situation where I might pull out my gun first too. Marcus looks like he was eviscerated. He's in
a pool of blood.
A pool of blood. I'm surprised there's no organs coming out of him, to be honest.
Well, granted, like he did just get slammed through a window with no shirt on or shoes. So like
high on acid.
Yeah, high on acid. So
but anyway, he's laying there in a puddle of his own blood, and he's looking at a chocolate bar with. Is that an alligator? I could never figure out if it's an alligator or not.
I think so. I think it is an alligator.
So we'll say alligator.
It's a crocodile because the chocolate's chocodile.
Ah, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Good call. I thought it said chocolate. I should read.
Yeah, I didn't read that right either.
Okay, so crocodile. But anyway, it's talking to him and saying, "Hey, this is your chance. Why don't you get out of here? You're absolutely fucked right now. So you should run, essentially." So anyway, the cops are handcuffing Chico, saying, "Hey, you twitch, we're gonna kill you. Test us." At this point, Chico decides to test them, cracks one in the jaw, uses his body as a human shield, pulls his gun, and then kills the other 2 cops. And then, as he's walking out of this place, he shoots and kills the cashier who's just screaming there.
Bro,
you gotta get rid of
clearly just broke. He clearly broke. He clearly doesn't give a fuck about the rules, which is like
Yeah,
No.
this is a lot of unsanctioned killing. I'm just gonna say that.
Too much unsanctioned killing by Chico alone.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so Marcus decided to pull his ass out of there, but believe it or not, the man sitting in a pool of his own blood kept bleeding after he moved. And so he left a trail. Chico very, very easily followed the trail, and eventually found our boy in a dumpster, and was like, "Hey, found you. Get out of the trash." And he starts taunting Marcus, essentially saying, "Hey, everyone says you're a killer, but all you are is a goddamn rat. Just like Maria, I guess rats can." He calls them both rats and says, "I guess rats can smell each other." And then Marcus is trying to say, "Hey, your girl came on to me. I didn't even know she had a man," which is false. He was told that by Shad, but I don't know if he was listening. So we technically know that Maria is with someone, but Chico was just like, "Hey, just say it. Own up to what you were gonna do and how you were gonna do things with my girl. But you know what? Here, I'll even give you a fighting chance." And this is the point where he puts his own pistol on the ground, backs up, and then says, "Hey, go get the pistol. You can shoot me, and then do whatever you want." Of course.
I love that scene a lot because I think it's so funny. It's even done. I like how it's portrayed in the show. But I love the fact that it's like, yo, so the only way this is gonna end well for either of us is you put a hole in me, and if you put a hole in me, then you can fuck my girl, bro. I was like, what? Like, Chico's kind of nuts, bro.
He's got a death wish. But anyway, the gun starts talking to him because you've said it a lot, but Marcus is still on acid. So he tries to go for the gun, but right before he's able to grab it, Chico steps on his hand and says, "Time's up," and then proceeds to start beating up Marcus more. This is when the rest of Marcus's friends come running up, and they're like, "Hey, Chico, stop. You can't be doing this." And unfortunately for Billy, he walks up and puts a hand on Marcus, or on Chico. Last mistake he'll ever make. He gets stabbed by Chico, immediately falls to the ground, and this is when Maria starts yelling at him. And this leads to one of my favorite lines in this entire book. So Maria's yelling at him, saying that you're insecure and you try to kill every guy that looks at me. And Chico comes back with, "Well, looking at, so you were planning to just look at that dick in your hand," which was Marcus's dick in this instance. And he asked, "Is that what I walked in on? An old-fashioned dick looking?" Which I just thought was one of the most wonderful lines. This whole conversation is just proving that neither of them should be together. Based off of anything, they're both a mess. Maria just seems to have a death wish. Marcus says he loves her, but seems like he would rather see her dead than had by another man. So Marcus, what is it? They're having their argument. They're yelling. Billy's still bleeding out on the ground at this point. And Maria's having this yelling at Chico about how, like, "I'm just a tool to you. I'm a whore. You use me to drop bombs because I was cute and innocent. I was nothing but something to be given away."
Like she acknowledges that, like, Chico's like, "Oh, like, you know, everything my family's done for you, they saved you," and she's like, "No, your family didn't save me. They used me. They just saw a little girl they could use to, you know, sneak in to kill a target or to plant bombs. Like that's not how a family loves somebody. Like, it's interesting. It's sad."
We learn more about Maria's story, and the more you learn about her story, the sadder it gets. It's heartbreaking. But Chico says he loved her, immediately cracks her across the face, And this is where we see Willie pointing the gun at Chico, saying, "Stop. I'll kill you." And Chico's like, "You?" And this is where Chico, I will say this, Chico is cold. Chico stares this man pointing at him with a gun and says, "Go ahead, do it. You're a big gangbanger. But I've heard rumors that you haven't actually killed the people that killed your pops. That they just made that shit up to make you look tough." And now he's telling him to pull the trigger. But Willie's saying, "Hey, you kick him again, I actually will pull the trigger." But Chico just keeps stomping on Marcus, and Willie's not pulling the trigger at all. Everyone's yelling at Willie to pull the trigger, and eventually Chico just walks right up, points the gun right at his head, and just wants him to pull. And when Willie doesn't pull, he snatches the gun out of his hand, walks back, and says, "I knew you were a punk, Willie." And he walks over like he's going to kill Marcus now. But everyone's telling him, "Hey, you can't kill Marcus. You're going to get in trouble with Master Lin." But Chico says he has a way out, and that's by silencing all the witnesses. So no one is going to survive this. And I think once they realize that, that's when Maria jumps to action and slits Chico's throat. He didn't see it coming. I don't even think she saw it coming.
Nope.
But he slinks down the wall, choking on his own blood. And they all kind of realize what they've done at that point. So Maria comes up and starts holding Marcus. Marcus once again says, "I'm not the Acid King." And this is where we see a familiar face. A familiar fuck face.
Yeah.
Our old friend comes out from beyond the shadows holding a gun. And he says, "Hey, all of you, stop." And he also says some racist stuff. I think he calls Maria an enchilada.
Yes, he does.
But anyway, he brags about how evil he is, essentially. And he talks about how everyone else here is really hard. They're killers, proven, except for Willie, who he calls a pussy. But yeah, and then he goes on, and this is where we get the story about the cat, and how when his dad found out about the cat got put down. Little Cinnamon, he called it. It tore into him something fierce, but he apparently got his dad back, and that's how he ended up in the boys' home. But anyway, he goes on to tell him about how he's Marcus's mortal enemy. He's here to kill Marcus, but apparently he wants a fair fight. So he says, "Hey, train this guy up good and well to defend himself, because when I come back, we're gonna have a Hollywood, like a Hollywood barn dance," is what he describes it as.
And I want to make a note. That like while he's doing this, Marcus is just fucking terrified the entire time, and he's like, even though he's still tripping acid, like he still hasn't stopped, but like he's just like he's literally like you can tell like Marcus is just generally terrified due to the history he has with this person with fuckface. Pretty much.
He is also genuinely seeing a ghost.
Pretty much, yeah.
If fuckface, the way he looks, is any indication, he was supposed to be dead. And Marcus was 100% under the assumption that he was dead. Not the case. But anyway, he says, "I'm his mortal enemy, train him up." And at this point, he actually takes Chico's body, because he says, "You'll never know when you'll need a dead," and then he says a slur. Because you just never know when you need a dead person. And then he also picks up a cat as he's walking away that ain't been fed in days, but he knows he's got just the thing, apparently. That's the last we see of him for this issue, thank God. But he's this terrifying face. He's completely tripping out Marcus the entire time. Like I said, he's seeing a ghost. It doesn't help that he also just looks terrible to begin with. We'll find out exactly why he looks like that soon. Not this issue, but soon. But he goes his own way to return eventually, and the kids are back off to school. They talk about how they just accepted it. And one of the lines that I really liked about the end of the book is that Marcus, for the first time since he like remembered it as a child, having a friend over, and the friend eventually going home and the fun he was having ended, he had like this hope for the future and this hope for more. Like it wasn't just this desire to live anymore, it was actual hope for something greater. Like he was making an appeal to something more than just living. He wanted actual happiness. But we end the whole story with them riding off into the desert, back to them going to school on their way home.
Yeah, pretty simple. It's not a lighthearted ending, but like it's.
I think it's very satisfying for the ending of a first book.
Satisfying.
Yeah, satisfying is a good way to describe it. Yeah, there's a lot of great character moments in this issue.
Right?
I think so. I mean, but yeah, thoughts on the last issue. I think it's good. I do. I mean, yeah, Rebecca, as Rebecca said earlier, it's very character focused this time. And it's very you learn a little bit more about Maria and like her relationship with Chico throughout like their argument, and the fact that like even though Chico claims to Chico has a twisted way of thinking that Maria is like his girl, which in reality she kind of really isn't, because she didn't really choose to be his girl, you know. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. Just seeing Chico just being a heartless piece of shit, like it's just like wow, like seeing this man just like take out like cops, take out civilians, and start like pretty much like not only like beat the shit out of Marcus to a bloody pulp pretty much, but go after Billy, and then also step up to Willie, calling him out on how like calling him out how like he'd never really killed anybody is just crazy. And just like, and also I don't know if it was me, but like I don't know if it's just me, but like I found it hilarious that Fuckface didn't really need to like just take Chico's body. He just did it just cause. Like
he actually did have a reason. In one of the later volumes, he uses the body.
Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah. But like,
no spoilers, please.
No. That's all you're getting.
But yeah, from what we know, he just took his body just randomly, just I think it's so funny.
I don't think he had a plan for it when he took it, though. I'm gonna be real about that.
Yeah.
I think it was literally just what he says. You'll never know when you'll need a dead one.
Exactly. But yeah, no, this issue was pretty. It was a quick read too. Like it wasn't really because it was pretty. Only like this only like a few things really happened, which was Chico going apeshit. The friend group getting involved, and Venom getting involved, Chico dying, and then Fuckface showing up, and that was pretty much
this issue is just one big action sequence, but it's very intense, and like you said, a lot of great character moments. Very quick and interesting read.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't really got much to say on it, but yeah, I think it's a good issue and a good ending for this arc. And also the fact that I love the fact that this in general. I mean, if you mind if we just go into final thoughts real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it hilarious that Marcus has just been tripping for 3 issues straight. I think that's so funny. 3 issues, Marcus has been tripping out.
I mean, it hasn't even been a day for him, but an acid trip lasts 8 to 12 hours on average.
Oh, how would you know, Demoan?
I've done research. Read a lot of articles.
All right, no, I believe you. But yeah, actually, no, Rebecca, as someone who's the first time reading Deadly Class, what were your thoughts on the whole volume?
I thought you were gonna say as someone who hasn't done drugs.
No.
That's what he was going to.
No, that's not what I meant. But like, I should have said that. That would have been a lot funnier. But as someone who's this is like this first time reading Deadly Class, what are your thoughts on the final on the volume as a whole for you?
Well, like I said in the beginning, I didn't have any expectations going in, but it was not quite what I expected, which isn't to say like a bad thing or anything like that. I enjoyed this. I want to read more. I wasn't expecting, again, like, I guess the character's name is Fuckface. They don't say it in this, but you guys keep falling in that.
Yeah, they refer to him as that in a later issue, I think.
Yeah, we won't tell you what his real name is though. But like,
I
it's just
forget his real name, to be honest.
I know his real name, but his name is in the book is referred to as Fuckface. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, that was kind of off the wall villain. I'm not too attached to some of the characters. Yeah, I like Marcus and I like Willie, but the other ones I feel like I don't really know yet. And again, there's like 9 more volumes of this to read, so there's plenty of time to get attached to them.
That's true. I mean, like they obviously, like, Marcus is the main character. They're gonna focus more on him. We see him and Willie have a complete issue just together, seeing the time that they have as like their transactional friendship. But yeah, like all the other characters, we don't really see much of. I mean, I guess like maybe like in terms of like appearances, like Saya's like third, I think, amongst the friend group. Yeah, and then Maria and then Billy is like straight last.
Like she's mostly used as a story device at this point, though.
Yeah,
like just like Saya's just getting stuff.
I mean, I'm not saying like every character needs to be fleshed out at this point.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I'm just saying like I don't have an attachment to them yet, you know.
That's true. Yeah. I do want to also mention we kind of missed over it, but like we brushed over it, but like it kind of Marcus in the 3rd issue, Marcus mentions that to Willie that his therapist at the boys' home diagnosed him with emotional paranoia, which is basically like the reason why he narrates the way he narrates, because he's literally like questions every interaction he has with people, and also it only gets into friend groups when he feels comfortable and he feels it's beneficial. So like it's I think that's pretty interesting in terms of like, yeah, like he has a disorder, which is why
is that like a disorder? I don't know research on that.
I didn't Google it or anything.
They say in this, like in one of the first issues, like Saya says like, or implies that he's a psychopath, and he like kind of takes that the wrong way, but he kind of is like a little bit of a psychopath.
A little bit, yeah. He did kill that guy pretty easily.
Well, not even that. I just mean how he is like emotionally like detached, you know?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's not completely emotionally detached. We'll see evidence of that in the later issues, but in later volumes. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, he pretty as from what we know from his volume, yeah, pretty much.
It's definitely a lot of him putting walls up.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, this volume is great. I mean, it's a great introduction just to the world, and obviously, like seeing the world through Marcus's perspective is great. Yeah, like, you know, some of the characters are very interesting, but I feel like every character, even though some of them we don't see much of, the main characters get at least a defining character moment. Like Willie with his backstory with his dad and his moral compass. Saya. Even Saya's like being cold, but like, you know, she still kind of has like a little more of a fun side to her. Maria, obviously, with her stuff with Chico and like Salvato and like that backstory behind that, and then Billy with his dad. Like there's each character there's some good character moments in here, which will grow into their character development, into, you know, actually hopefully Rebecca will care more about these characters.
It's only the first volume. You have to read more to care.
That's true. But yeah, overall, this volume I think is great, and yeah, and Wes. I think the best part about it not only is the writing, but Wes Craig with the art, as well as Lee Lowridge with the coloring. Which I think it's some of the stuff here is like, I think it's like Wes Craig's style is very it's a mix of like comic booky and just like comic book and cartoony, but like it works. It works well with the aesthetic of like the 80s and well with the colors as well. But yeah, I mean. And it's like great action. All of it's good. Like the high school tropes are great. I like it. I think it's a good introduction. I like it a lot. Very strong. But yeah, Demoan, anything you want to say? Anything you want to say about the volume, or you're all good?
I think I've said most of what I wanted to say already. I think this is a strong start for like Deadly Class. They gave us a lot of plot points that a lot of them you won't even see until like volumes 5 and 6.
Yeah, it's a lot of setup.
Like this first volume has a lot. Going back and reading it after finishing the series, I can see exactly how much setup this first volume actually had going into it. Because like I said, there's like 4 or 5 different plot lines that they start in this volume that don't get finished for a while.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, people. So yeah, so thanks for everyone that are watching this or will watch this. We appreciate it. Listen, I'm excited to continue doing this series with Rebecca and Demoan, and also y'all experiencing it, because this is, I believe, is one of the best indie comic books ever, outside of Invincible, of course. And it's gonna be a fun ride, a lot of shenanigans, and hopefully, let's like, there's a moment in this series that, like, when I was reading it, like it surprised the crap out of me, and it made me even more sad because the show unfortunately couldn't get to this moment. So I'm looking forward to seeing like this moment in especially Rebecca react to it when we get to it. It's gonna be a good time. But yeah, people, so just for future efforts, so for next episode we're going to be doing volume 2, and so I can share my screen real quick. So we're gonna be which I think because we're doing this every 2 weeks, like how we do Transformers. Even though I kind of
want to. That's the plan anyway.
Yeah, even though I kind of want to now, just because I want to like do it every week now, because like I'm just too excited. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel. But yeah, so expect the next episode on May 22nd on Monday, and we're gonna be covering volume 2, which is titled "Kids of the Black Hole," which will cover issues 7 through 11. And here's a thumbnail for that. And also, I just want to acknowledge real quick that, as Rebecca mentioned before, I think we kind of both mentioned it, that at some point we will be. I want to at least do a bonus episode, how we see with Invincible, of the show. So it'll be like a little bonus episode, and so we're gonna be covering the first season of Deadly Class as one of the bonus episodes. I think right after do the second volume, because the show only covers the first 2 volumes. And
that might take a little longer, because like I said, neither of us have watched the show at
all. Yeah, we'll see. Either we do it the following episode, or maybe the 3rd episode, maybe like somewhere around there, that time frame. We'll see. But yeah, we'll definitely be covering the show as well, because it's underrated and this show needs more love. I really think so. But yeah, so that's pretty much it, people. Be on the lookout for that. Watch out for our other videos that we post on the channel. We appreciate the love, the support, the growth, because we're growing every day, and really appreciate it, and showing that you guys actually care about our content and all that. So there's that. I don't really have a question. I don't have a question. Christian's usually the one with the questions. I don't got a closing question for this.
I don't have a question either.
Rebecca, you have a question?
If you had a trip on acid in a Vegas casino, what casino would you want to be?
Yeah, well, there's that. Yeah, so that's the question. So put that in the comments. Sure. Caesar's Palace?
Caesar's Palace.
I think it's the Bellagio for me, honestly. Bellagio's pretty nice. That's its own miniature Venice. It's nice shit. But yeah, that's your question. So leave that in the comments, and be on the lookout for a clip coming your way, and the next episode in the next 2 weeks, and we'll catch y'all next time. All right.
Yeah. Get home safe.
Get home safe.